What's with all the police everywhere? I'm not supposed to tell. You know the butcher? The freaking nut job that goes around chopping people up? The feds heard that he's gonna be here today. So they set up a trap for him. This whole concert, it's a trap. They're watching all the exits, they're checking everyone that leaves. There's no way to get out of here.
Trap, M. Night Shyamalan's newest movie. Okay, so M. Night Shyamalan, to me, is very much a hit or miss director. I've liked some of his movies, like Sixth Sense. I really liked that. I liked Signs. I even liked the Village. And then there's some movies of his catalog that I'm just like, why did you do this? Like The Happening and like Last Airbender. Just like, why am I watching this? Why am I wasting my time? And so now he has made pretty much a killer inside of a Taylor Swift concert, which I actually read was the pitch. And I'm like, okay, interesting. I've always found that M. Night Shyamalan films, to me, I like the idea of the plot. Like something like this, where it's just like a killer is inside of pretty much like a Taylor Swift concert, and it's like, okay, like I like to see how this plays out, or something like Knock at the Cabin, where that film was, even though it was based on a book, it was four strange people show up to a cabin with this family's there, and they're saying that one of you has to die or the world ends. So it's like, okay, I like what this is going, but I feel like Shyamalan tries either too much or tries to put in too many ideas, and then some of the ideas that I find interesting either don't get resolved correctly, or they just come off as lame. And this one a little bit falls into that, unfortunately. I will say this. I liked the first two-thirds of it. I thought it was really interesting. And then the third act happens, which is typically what I have a problem with Shyamalan films, is that I like the first two-thirds, and then it gets to the third act, and I'm just like, that was a letdown. Something like, to me, like The Village. I liked the first two-thirds. Then it gets to the third act, and I'm just like, this is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. And then I think I actually watched The Village before I saw Signs. And I just went, oh, that's still lame, dude. Like, come on, man. So that's why I've always been like a heads and tails kind of person when it comes to watching Shyamalan stuff. And unfortunately, this one kind of falls into that category of something I would expect from him. Enjoy the first two-thirds, and then the third act just kind of falls apart for me. I'll get in the good. I like how it felt like it was a cat and mouse game, so it constantly kept you on your toes. And it constantly kept Josh Hartnett, who was actually pretty good. It really felt like he was doing an impression of like something like not entirely like Christian Bale in American Psycho, but he added like a little goofy, like silly twist to him, which worked in some parts and also didn't work in some other parts, where I'm just going, whoa, what was that? Like, that was odd. So it's just like you're all serious, and then just all of a sudden just being zany and kooky, and it's like, what are you, like, trying out to be Two-Face in Batman or something? Like this is like, what are you doing? But for the most part, I thought Hartnett did a pretty good job, and the fact that he is in, I believe, every single scene in the movie. So I thought he did a good job. Now, back to the cat and mouse game. I like how he constantly like had to stay on his toes. and he had to plan out his tactics and going like, okay, this situation's not going to work. So it's like he had to think of like 5 different plans all in one, all at one moment. So I liked that. I liked how it constantly kept him on his toes, and it also kept the audience on their toes too. Like I was going like, how's he going to get out of this? And was pretty surprised on what they did, and was liking it. I will also say that Shyamalan's daughter, I forget her name. It's not the same. It's not I think he has 2 daughters. If I'm correct, he has 2 daughters. One of his daughters wrote and directed The Watchers, which, you go watch that. Go watch that one. That one was just, I don't know what that was, to be honest. I kind of forgot about it, like, after I reviewed it. But this one, she's actually a really good singer. And I was going like, okay. It sounds like you're singing pretty well. I'm like, all right, cool. Acting-wise, it was okay. It was going like, okay. I was kind of thinking you were just going to sing, but now you're in the movie. And I'm like, okay. Now, when it comes to the bad, I didn't like how he turned part magician, where there were times where he'd be like standing there and then all of a sudden, be like, Harry Potter with his invisible cloak, and just like he was gone. And I was like, whoa, like, okay. And it also leads me to a big question, is that this stadium, the stadium they filmed in, I believe was actually in, I think it was Rogers Arena or Rogers Place, I believe. Because there were times where I was going like, oh, I think that's Rogers, which was cool. But there were times where I was going like, he was doing stuff in the middle of like public, because it was like, I think they said it was like 20,000 people there at the concert. So I'm going, okay, so and if you ever been in like just a sports venue, whether it be, you're there for a sports game or you're there for a concert in this case, you really can't get away from anybody. There's not one person you can get away with or you can get away from, because anywhere you go, there's always going to be one person there that's like right next to you. So there's stuff he's doing in public where I'm thinking, no one saw that? Like, there could be like a part where he pulls a fire alarm and I'm just like, no one saw that? Because, there'd be like a part, I'm not saying it's in the film or not, but it's kind of like one of those things in school where you're debating about like pulling the fire alarm, but you're there with like a buddy of yours, so they're the person that sees it, but you always try to pull the fire alarm when someone else was around you, and I'm like, why are you doing that? Like, I know it's kind of like a foot race kind of thing, like it's a cat and mouse game, as I said, but there was times where I was going like, okay, really, like no one saw that. Like, come on. Like, there's a certain part in the movie where he needs to create a distraction to then get away. And I'm going, no one saw this just person do this? Like, what are you doing? And I also feel like this movie had several different endings, because there was like, at a certain part where I'm like, okay, so we're getting close to the end. And then I was like, nope, we got like 30 minutes left. And I'm like, what else are they going to do? Like, it's over. And then it just becomes layer after layer, like, not like twist stuff, where I'm just like, what? Like, okay. So this was orchestrated by this, and then this, and then this, and then this, and this. It's like a domino effect. And I was like, yeah, no. So overall, the film went through its highs and lows. I thought Hartnett did a really good job, despite, being a little goofy in spots where it just didn't work. I was interested to I was interested in the first 2 acts, and I was like, by the third, it just fumbled. You also get your Shyamalan cameo, as usual, as he always does. And it's just, it has its spots. It's not a bad movie, but it's definitely, I would struggle to call it a good movie at times. Now, just right now, I like this movie more than I did Watchers, because Watchers just started with Act 1 and then just fumbled down some stairs until the end. Where you're just thinking, okay, there's got to be a limit. No, there was a trap door underneath that stairs, and it just continued to fall. This one, it was walking down the stairs, and by Act 3, then it tumbled. But by that time, there was only like a few flight of steps left, and then it hit the floor. So I would use that analogy. It's not a very pretty one, but, it's what I can think of at the moment. So I would give this more like maybe like a mid or low average, where I was like, okay, it's not not as bad as I see a lot of people talk about it, but it's also, I struggle to call it a good movie. So, it does have its highs and lows. It could have been great. It's still an interesting watch though, because it's, Shyamalan manages to do some like good stuff in his stuff, but it's just, to me, Shyamalan always fumbles it after a certain part, and unfortunately this does it. But, if you're a fan of Shyamalan, you probably have already seen this, but, if you're interested in seeing it, I would, still recommend like going in, checking it out, because there is some good in it. There are some interesting parts. I was enjoying it. Just kind of keep your expectations low.
How you all doing? You having fun?
Woo! Come closer.
What's going on, Daddy?
Open the goddamn door!
I can't get away. I can't stop. I'll just do this one last one.
Enjoy the rest of the concert.